nice to see you again. Here, I'm at a very special space. 新北市林口区东西 Library Branch. So, some beautiful things. Today's topics: music and universe. Of course, if you think of this topic, everybody thinks about that piece. Yes, host planets. Indeed, I will talk about that later on at the end, so don't worry, I'll get back to you. But I would like to introduce some other words related to the universe. Is that okay? I hope that's okay with you. Let's begin with the magnificent, the last symphony of Mozart. That's Symphony number 41, subtitled is Jupiter. The Mozart wrote the last 3 symphonies during a very short period of time in the summer of 1788. The nickname of the Jupiter originated in 1821 when the work was performed in London, and that stayed with the rest because there are some reasons why, I think. The first movement, now expanded to include closing theme, used to be only first theme and the contrary second theme. But now, the closing theme, so that expanded the sonata form. Earlier, he actually wrote the concert aria. He reused that material in this. And the second movement is another kind of new things. For Mozart, it was kind of unusual to write a very long phrase. He wrote 11 measure phrase that also contains lots of chromaticism. Chromaticism is like if you're on the keyboard, white, black key, that again going to the new realm of the music making. And another funny thing is that the string instruments in the second movement is all concertino, that's muted. So it's a very different color you will hear. By the way, it's also curious that he used only one flute and no clarinets at all. That's highly unusual for his last symphony. But I think the biggest reason, or reasons, why this symphony received the nickname of the Jupiter lies in the last movement. The fourth movement begins with this theme. Do, re, fa, mi, ti, 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 ti. Some people think that's an earlier written sacred piece, church piece. But if you know his first symphony in a second movement, he starts out with C minor, but when it comes second time, it goes to C major. Horn has do, re, fa, mi. How crazy is that? His first symphony theme is used in the last movement of last symphony he wrote. Also, this theme is used in his fugal subject later on. And in the end of development section, he goes through all the 13 keys in very short period of time, quick modulation. And in an expanded coda, all 5 major thematic materials are played simultaneously. Therefore, in short words, from harmonic, contrapuntal, developmental motifs, expanding the formal structure, all of these theoretical standpoints, this symphony represents like textbook supermodel. But basically, it's out of this world. That is why I think he claims Jupiter. But it doesn't sound academic at all. It sounds very exciting. It's very special piece. Next piece is called Cassiopeia. 5-star group, you know. It is for a solo percussion player with orchestra, written by a Japanese composer, Toru Takemitsu. These days, the writing for percussion instruments solo, even solo percussion and orchestra, is pretty common. But this piece was written in 1971, and so it's very unusual. It's kind of pioneering in terms of this set. Again, orchestra, percussion, of course you can hear the color and it supports many things, but usually they stand in the way back of the section and they don't play that often. But idea of putting all this variety of sounds up front of the orchestra and collaborate, that's a new concept. So you can hear different colors by different instruments, but also very different articulations and even more variety of timbres. Now I switch a gear to talk about 2 operas very quickly, inspired by the universe. The first one is by German opera composer Giacomo Meyerbeer. He was highly successful in Paris, writing, it's kind of ironic, the 19th century French grand opera. One of those is called The North Star. The opera's opening set in the bay in Finland, with the main subject of the opera being rebellion against the Russian Tsar. A very big, French opera, but the unusual thing is he uses more than 2 coloratura sopranos. So you'll hear in the background, that's what you hear on the big coloratura bravura aria. The second opera is by another German composer, Hindemith, called Die Harmonie der Welt, Harmony of the World. Subject of this opera is about actual German astronomer Johannes Kepler in 16th, 17th century. He also wrote a theory about planet, all those planets, the scales, and Hindemith had an idea. He would organize chromatic scale arrangement to show this planetary system. And I don't know whether you think he succeeded or not, but rather complicated sounding you'll hear in the background. Now, finally, the planets. Of course, you heard beginning of the program, Jupiter, the 4th movement. But this piece, first of all, requires a huge orchestra. He asks for 4 woodwinds, including alt flute, bass oboe, English horn, yes, but most orchestras don't have bass oboe. And he asks for 6 horns, but usually in concert we use 8 at least. And 4 trumpets, again, usually 6 trumpets. And he uses 2 sets of timpanis. I'll talk about that later. Why? Not just one with 5, 6, but 2 people playing 2 sets. And of course, celeste, harps, all these, lots of percussion. The first movement, Mars, bringer of war. I'm sure you know how it starts. 5, 4, not 4, 4. It's odd meter. And even that, ta-ka-ta-ta-ta, triplets, ta-ka-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta, duplets. Now, after that ostinato beginning, the ostinato is a repeated rhythmic pattern. After that, ascending this arpeggio. But it works. 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2. Later on, twos. That goes against 5s. 2s would not go even with 5, yes? So we need 2 measures to go complete. So you can tell he's using many ways to go this conflict, the war, ugly, very aggressive, violent nature of things. By rhythm, also the harmony. Second movement, Venus, bringer of peace. So it's completely different. Horn solo begins, then flutes. And back to horn solo, and then back to flutes. And then later on, violin solo by concertmaster, joined by entire section. Really high range of music. Harp, oboe solo, glockenspiel, but very, very peaceful, rather simple. You can hear lots of space, much less dense. There's a cello solo later on, harps, horn solo, all these new sounding, and then celeste solo in the middle. It's, again, very contrasting from the first. Third, Mercury, winged messenger. In this case, very fast, and lots of switching of instruments. Very fragmental, from harp, bassoons, clarinet, oboe, celeste, strings, you name it. Fourth, your probably favorite, Jupiter. The famous solo. But in this movement, there are 3 basic areas. The first one is lots of leaps, arpeggios. And the second one is more gracefulness. And third one, very lyrical sound. The whole begins. Again, all these are leaps. Yes, more graceful. Third. Very British, almost human, soulful, really beautiful music. So all these 3 elements he puts back and forth to make this exciting movie. The 5th, Saturn, bringer of old age, completely different, very monotonic, That's the next piece. Sixth, Uranus, magician. Di to to to. Tiba to to to. Tiba. Then, listen, ba 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 ba. Very much like skeleton. Comical rhythm. Tuba, bu 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 bu. In the middle is a very forceful melody. Yeah, that's again very different character, very entertaining, very different from like before. And the last, seventh movement, Neptune, Mystique. Again, back to very, very quiet space. The horns, later on harp flute combination. Lots of parallel movement. There's a very high violin, like a drone. Drone is a pitch, doesn't change. You can find in Indian music, you can find even Scottish music, like bagpipe, but also in the, like Brahms' First Symphony, beginning, C pedal, C, but top notes goes up, so therefore you can hear the dissonances. That is what the drone would do. But anyways, in this piece, in this movement, he uses women's voice without any text at the end. Very mysterious. And that's, you can almost feel the goddess in the space. I hope you had a little bit of information you wanted to find out about music with the universe. And there are many, many other pieces by many other composers. So I hope you have a chance to now dig and see in the sky. I hope to see you again. But P.S. I are seeking your input. So, if you have a request or some questions, what I would like to answer for you, please send us your messages. I'll try to answer as the best I can. So see you next time. Bye bye.